Hey, welcome back. It's a terrific Tuesday here on Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John TABACCO. We're at the Newsmax headquarters where we are every day, Monday to Friday, live from noon to 2 Eastern. We're in the Question Tequila studios, and I have been testing the Question Tequila for over an hour now, and it's so far it's going good. I could tell you that. It's going even better when we're joined in studio with a man of great honor. Jonathan Gilliam joins us. He's a former Navy SEAL. He's a former special agent. He's a former air marshal. And he's a guy that you probably don't want looking for you. But he joins us in studio. Hey, man, thanks for joining us today on Liquid Lunch. Now, Navy SEAL, FBI special agent, federal air marshal. I mean, you have probably faced some things in life that most of us mortals can't.
He killed 3 guys on the way here.
Actually, I got dive bombed by a pigeon on the way here, but it was an ISIS pigeon, though, so I took it out.
A la Ackbird.
You know what's interesting? The scariest thing I've ever faced in all that stuff is myself.
Really?
Learning about who I am, and most people will always avoid the reality of who they are. And that's a scary thing when you have to look at yourself. What am I capable of doing? Am I capable of going further than that? And that actually has been the scariest thing and the most the thing that I got the most growth from.
And when I go through your list of titles in life, and I'm sure there are all tremendous accomplishments in all of them, but it sounds like you've spent the better part of your life chasing down bad guys.
Yeah, in one way or another, and doing it honorably without having to falsify information like you see in the New York Times or with Comey and McCabe and Peter Strzok and Mueller, who was a director when I was in the FBI. I mean, it's pretty amazing for those of us that have spent 20 or more years serving in various capacities, trying to protect the national security of this country, just to turn around and see that national security violated by individuals that actually are at the top of all these agencies.
So I want to ask you about a personal experience of mine. One of my dear friends, former business associates, you may have seen him in the news, Dr. Patrick Byrne. Mm-hmm. He was the CEO of Overstock.com. He's no longer the CEO. I guess at some point in his life, he was a member of the Council of Foreign Relations. He's a billionaire. The FBI came to him and asked him to work as some kind of asset to get close to people because he's an academic, he's a professor at Stanford.
That happens, that's not unusual.
And, he had low to mid-level security clearances, and they came to him to use him as an asset. And they told him that they wanted him to get close to this woman, Maria Butina, who was the supposed Russian agent. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't a Trump fan at all. He's a libertarian. He was for Gary Johnson, right? And he started to get these orders, like to get close to this woman, almost start a relationship with her so that he can keep a track. And there came a time when she told him that her friends in Russia had got her a one-on-one meeting with Donald Trump. And he was reporting back to his handlers, hey, we got to stop this. We can't have a Russian agent meeting with Donald Trump Jr. That's probably not a good thing, right? And they told him, no, lay back, let it happen. We want to watch. Mm-hmm. And a light bulb went off in his head, and this was a few years ago. And now, as it's been developing, he figured out that his handler was getting his instructions from Peter Strzok. He's gone through all of these things, and he's come out and made some claims now that the FBI basically knew Maria Butina was acting like this, and he was telling them, but his point was they're trying to smear Donald Trump and others, Ted Cruz, Chris Christie. They were letting her meet with these people as part of the backup plan.
Well, because, see, here's the way things occur when you run a source against a bad guy. I'm not saying Trump or anybody's bad guy, but this is typically what happens is you will introduce a source into an environment, or you will get a source that exists in that environment, and then you will try to see what information they can get by developing relationships, just like he was doing with her, right? But the way entrapment works is when you take a known bad person, you introduce them to somebody that has no idea who they are. They never reached out for that person. And when they meet, you use that to falsify allegations that can or can't be that really can't be proven.
Right.
And then when you pump that out in the court of public opinion through this leftist media, what happens is you literally create evidence that doesn't even exist.
Yep.
And what's incredible about that is it appears that some of that type of evidence was used to further a FISA.
That's right.
In order to investigate Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. and all these people. It is so egregious that, but here's the scary part of all this, is that when we look at if you and I and the cameraman and the producer were the ones who were conspiring against the president, and we did these exact things, we would be investigated by DOJ and by the FBI through a counterintelligence investigation. That's who would be looking at us, and we would be looked at as conspirators, a group of conspirators. We would be just like any other criminal enterprise. We would be investigated as a group. So the crimes that you did would not be separated from the crimes that I've done separate from you. Would be looked at as, let's lump these all in as the group. That's how they get a RICO charge on you. That is not being done. And when you don't do that, if you look at like, okay, Peter Strzok talked to this person and you talked to that person, and it looks like, well, they were, you did a little bit, but you didn't do a lot. But when you look at the group, the reality is they literally were conspiring to overthrow an election and then a president.
I always joke around about this, that if we were conspiring, all of us, you'd probably be fine because you don't have a vowel at the end of your name, but me and Frankie would be in a RICO case.
Yeah, I'm
the
sorry.
Italians are always getting locked up.
I didn't mean to make the hair go up on the back of your neck.
RICO cases. But in our last minute here, I want to ask you about Sheep No More, your latest best-selling book.
Yeah.
Tell us what inspired you and what people will learn in Sheep No More.
I learned throughout my career that there is a huge gap between what those that know in the industry of protection and those that are just civilians don't know. And there's this huge gap in between. Just like with what we're looking at here with these conspirators and what the public is hearing and seeing, this book shows you how to look at things from the attacker's point of view and then turn around and target yourself so that you can then flip a switch and defend against those things that you actually see yourself doing to yourself.
Wow. So this guy has probably done things to people that you can't even imagine. I wouldn't do any of them to myself, but I want to thank you for joining us here. I want to thank you for your service to the country. And
subbing for John Cardillo on Friday, as I understand.
That's right. And right after this show, tune in to see John Cardillo on right here on Newsmax TV, and tune in Friday, and you can see this great patriot right here filling in for Cardillo. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back right after this. Frankie's going to fact check all the mistakes I made, and WTF, what's the facts?